Hello and welcome back to the channel. I hope you all had a good holiday. I hope you had a restful break if you got one. If you didn't get one, I hope your customers weren't annoying or awful. Yeah, it is currently January 7th, and I am going to be completely honest with y'all. I don't want to do a full-blown December wrap-up. So I'm just going to give you like small updates on what I read while I'm updating my journal and showing you my 2026 pages. And I'll pop up a picture of what I read physically on the screen so you can still see everything that I read off of my TBR. What I'm popping up is not everything that I read. I did read quite a few of ebooks and audiobooks from the library, but this picture shows you everything that I read from my physical TBR. So, now that you've seen that, you can jump into this. So, since it is January 7th, we are going to give final updates on these 2025 goals. So, for my owned library, I ended up getting to 44.3%. So, I didn't finish this goal, but that's okay. I got pretty close. I'm just going to leave the color the way it is right now because I only went up like 1%, so it didn't change very much. I did, however, hit both of these goals. I unfortunately did not finish any of the other ones, but that's okay because we're going to keep working on it this year. For this, days I finished a book. I need to pick a color for this. I can try this one. So, according to my story graph, I read 12 books this month. Great, so I finished books on those days. You'll see that around Christmas time there was like nothing finished. I just didn't have time to read. If I'm being completely honest, I was home visiting family. We were doing a lot of fun stuff, and I just wasn't really reading. So I didn't finish as many things as I wanted to, but that's perfectly fine because I still hit 12 books. And if I hadn't bought books last month or gotten them gifted to me for the Christmas holiday and all that, I would be under 400 on my TBR, which, spoiler alert, I am not. I am at 413. So that's great. I did hit this goal as we saw on the last page. This one's only half crossed off, but I feel like I made good enough progress to count it in the bingo. I still need to get backing and binding for the quilt so I can finish it. I did like all of the cutting and the ironing and the sewing together of the top part of the quilt though, so I am just going to count this. And we're going to finish the rest of it this year. I think that is the only bingo I'm going to get because we did not pay off this credit card. However, it is at about half what it was at the beginning of the year, so we made pretty good progress. My owned library is really close to 50%. We will get there next year. I'm manifesting it. I'm going to work really hard and get it done. This one and the thigh machine one, I couldn't work out for like half of the year. I can kind of work out, but I can't like do a regular schedule between like PT and residual pain from the surgery and the injury that I originally got. I just haven't been able to work out the way that I want, so I have instead been focusing on what I'm eating and working with a nutritionist to improve that. So while I can't mark these two off, I am still really proud of the work that I've done this year for my physical and mental health. The 25 and 25, I am one book away, and once I read that, I will be marking this off. And then this one, all of my book box books, I made a very valiant effort and I did read quite a few of them. I got through all of my Evernight books, the majority of my Illumicrate books, and then I finished up what I had left from Fairy Loot, and I have been working on Owlcrate. I'm going to talk about it a little bit later, but I am going to be on a low buy for a lot of things, but primarily books in 2026, and I'll detail the rules about that. But long story short, I have to read 5 books from my own TBR. They can be audio, physical, or ebooks. It doesn't matter. They just have to be owned. And once I read 5 books, I am allowed to purchase one for each 5 that I read. So I average about 10 books a month, 10 to 15. So that means that I theoretically could get 2 to 3 books per month and be within my low buy rules. So I'm hoping that that will help me get through my book box books, because I will be skipping more often in order to stick to my low buy. And then my series. I don't know that I finished anything on this. I do think I am missing a series though, which I'm not going to add to this one because I'm out of space and the series has so many in it I can't fit it on here anyways. Oh, I did finish Assassin's Quest, and that was the Farseer trilogy. Where is that one? Farseer trilogy is right here. I finished that. And I am going to be starting the next trilogy in the Realm of the Elderlings. So technically this should have like 15 boxes, I think, or something like that, 12 to 15. But within the Realm of the Elderlings, it's broken up into trilogies and quartets. And so this is the first trilogy. I didn't really talk about these books much in any of my vlogs, but I think that this series was okay. I would give it like a solid 3 to 4 stars for the series itself, but I did get quite bored, especially when our main character Fix was a young child. I do remember a lot of things that happened in that book, so that book was memorable, but I was just bored. I don't really love reading about children at this point in my life, especially with certain topics. I don't really want to read about children, you know, getting raped or things like that. I don't think that happened to Fitz, but other awful things happened to him in the first book, and then the second book follows him when he's like a teenager. I'm not really sure of his age, but by the time we get to the third book, which is the one that I finished in December, Assassin's Quest, he is basically an adult, and I think that it can only improve from here. My main complaint with Assassin's Quest was that it was just too long. I think my mom put it well when she said that the last like 100 pages was just boring. It was just filler, it was just fluff. Once we got the main plot twist, everything after that was kind of unnecessary. I don't know if unnecessary is the word that she used, but neither of us really loved this book very much. The other one that I read this month was Spy Family, which I don't think I have on here. I need to add Spy Family and Witch Hat Atelier into my 2026 tracker, but I'm not going to do that tonight. I am caught up on Spy Family for the time being. I read volume 15 this month, really liked it. We got more history of other side characters, and I enjoyed seeing that, and we also got some history about the war that the characters went through, so that was cool to see. Other than that, oh, I did read A Very Merry Bromance. And that is technically the 5th book, but it was the other one that I owned in the series and one that my library book club read. So that was why I read it out of order. I would recommend with that one that you read them in order. I know that with most romances you can still read them out of order and you're fine. With this one, I still got it. Like I wasn't lost in the story, but the characters they had like a lot of inside jokes and things that kind of went over my head as someone who hasn't read the rest of the series. So I would recommend reading the 3 in between before you read the Very Merry Bromance. Very Merry Bromance, can I say that? Other than that, I didn't read anything else from series. So this is done. And that brings us to the 2026 section of my journal, which I don't have anything to fill out right now, so we're going to put these away. And I am just going to walk you through what I have made. So my goals for the year, I would really like to finish more series than I start. So you'll see once I flip to the next page, I would really like to just start a series and finish it if I can. I have multiple series that I own all of the books, and I may have read like the first one or I may not have read the first one. Like the Live Ship Traders trilogy from Robin Hobb, I own the entire trilogy, but I haven't read a single one yet. So I would really like to finish that one this year. Annihilation is one that I started and never continued. I have the entirety of the 5th season trilogy that I'm going to be buddy reading with people. stuff like that. Like, I just want to get caught up on series and I don't want to start a ton. Um, for this next one, I would like to have my owned TBR down to 325 by the end of the year. I am at 412 right now. So if I were solely reading books and not unhauling, I would need to read 87 books from my TBR. I think this is doable, especially if I stick to my low buy. I have a pretty hefty stack of books that I'm like trying a chapter from every couple of days and deciding if I'm going to actually attempt to read it or if I'm completely over it. And I have gotten rid of a few from that one already. And then I also might be removing like the Stephen King books that I have from my dead dad. I'm not going to like unhaul them, but I might remove them from my TBR because I just don't think that I am necessarily a Stephen King fan. I've read a few of his books. I think I've read Misery, It, and The Stand. I did like Misery and It. I had some issues with both of them, and then The Stand I hated. So I have the majority of Stephen King's like classic horror and a few of his sci-fi, so we might remove those. We'll have to wait and see. But that'll help too. And I also have multiple copies of some books. So like I have an audiobook version of it or I have an ebook version of a physical book that I own. So when I read those will count for 2 in the TBR. I want to follow my low buy rules. I have tried so many low buys and I didn't try one last year. But the ones I've tried in the past I was not successful and I am more confident in what I can do, what I put my mind to do, you know. So I think I have made rules for my low buy that I can follow and feel okay and like feel confident in what I'm doing. Next up, I want to completely divest myself from the Amazon ecosystem. I am saving up currently for a Books Palma, which I think will help with a lot of things because I can download Kobo, I can have Libby, I can have LibreWFM, I can have a bunch of different apps on it because it runs on Android instead of a Kindle, which I can only access my Amazon library on. So I would like to get through all of my Audible books and all of my Kindle books. Um, and I would also like to get rid of my Kindle, but that's not written down here. Next up, I would like to sell 100 books. I think this is definitely doable. I haven't really talked about it much, but my Pango shop has actually picked up quite a bit in the last couple of months. I don't know if that's like a holiday rush or like people wanting to buy with their Christmas money. I'm not really sure. But I am going to keep doing the sales and posting tactics that I've been doing to see if they keep working, and if not, we'll change things. But I definitely sold over 100 books last year, and I think I can definitely do it again. Next is reading all of my Book of the Month books. I no longer subscribe to Book of the Month, so this number will not go up. I haven't counted, which is shame on me, I should have. But I have a stack of probably like 25 to 30 books that I got from Book of the Month that I have not read yet. Or they're like Book of the Month editions that I've gotten from used bookstores. I'm counting those because it's hard for me to remember which ones I actually bought and which ones are from a used store. So they're going to all count. I would really like to do a vlog series. I think their name is The Farm D Reads. I'll put it up on the screen and in the description. But they do a reading challenge where they do a spinner wheel and they pick 5 of their Book of the Month books and read them per month. I don't think I can do 5 in one vlog. I tend to lose steam at about 3. So I'm not going to do exactly what she does, but I am going to try and start a vlog series for Book of the Month specifically so I can get those off of my TBR. For Book of the Month, I have ended up not keeping quite a few of my books. I think I ended up with a lot of books that I knew nothing about. They just sounded interesting when I was subscribed to that, so most of them are not ones that I necessarily gravitate to or would pick if I was like deliberately shopping. So I think a lot of these are going to go after I read them. And then I want to keep working on getting up to date on all of my special editions. I have 3 or 4 Illumicrate left. So I have like one more Illumicrate vlog, and then I have, I think, an Owl Crate horror because I got off of the Owl Crate horror waitlist. Yeah, I need to cancel one of my subscriptions, and I have a feeling it's going to be Illumicrate, so I need to just focus in on those last few books and get rid of it. Or I'm at least skipping. But yeah, I pretty much only have a large stash of Owl Crate books left, and I'm working on those right now. I'm actually in the middle of an Owl Crate vlog where I'm reading Six of Crows, Crooked Kingdom, and then I think I'm reading a Carissa Broadbent in that video too. That one's taken a really long time. I'll give you a little bit of a spoiler, but Six of Crows was a slog for me to get through. And it's not because I hated the book. I really don't know why it was taking me so long to finish it. But I am now on to Crooked Kingdom, and then I need to figure out how I'm reading the Carissa Broadbent, because the text on those pages is really small. So I don't think I want to read the physical copy I have. But anyways, moving on. I would really love to reduce the stacks that are not on a shelf by half. My start number, which I counted when I got home from Christmas break, was 128. This includes, I'll show you a little video or pictures. I haven't decided what I'm putting in yet, but it includes all of the stacks that are not currently on a shelf and the books that are stacked in my nightstand, because I would like my nightstand back. So I would like those books to find a home elsewhere. We are getting to the point, though, that my shelf downstairs where I put my read books is almost completely full. So I will be having to take the unread books that are left on 2 of the shelves down there and put them up here. So the stacks will grow, which means I need to be pretty good about like DNFing and getting rid of books that I'm not actually interested in anymore. And then this one I'm not entirely married to, but I would like to work on my focus. I think it will help my mental health quite a bit. And to do that, I would like 10% of the books that I read this year to be completed without an audio accompaniment. So that can be an ebook. I'm not going to force myself to hold a physical book every time I want to read, but I do not want 100% of what I read to be with the help of an audio. And that's not... I realize that sounds really ableist. It's nothing against audiobooks. I love audiobooks, but I want to get used to sitting in silence and being able to just focus on one thing instead of multitasking. This isn't a I don't like audiobook situation. It's an I want to not multitask all the time situation. And I don't think I will be able to do that if I'm listening to an audiobook. So moving on. We have my 26 and 26. I don't know when I'm going to stop doing these challenges. I don't know what year is going to be too many. But for this year, I went with like 3 kind of categories. You'll see this entire page is all series. There are a few where it's like the next one in the series, so like Gods and Monsters, A Pirate's Life for Tea, Carl's Doomsday Scenario, The Man Who Died Twice, A Curse Carved in Bone, Concrete Rose, Good Girl Bad Blood, and I'm really excited for this one, The Tapestry of Fate. It's the sequel to The Adventures of Amina al-Sarafi. This is the only new book that I have on here. This is one that I will have to buy. And then Emily Wilde's Map of the Otherlands. These are all, the ones I just listed are all books that I have that are part of a series. I don't own the entire series, but these are the next ones in the series, and I would like to read them and get most of them are like trilogies. So I would like to get the next books in the series from the library. And you'll see why that is once I get to, it might actually be the next page. You will see why that is in a few pages. My low buy rules will let me use the library a lot more than I was letting myself do. But there are a few series on here where I have every single book in them, and I've either not read any of them or I've only read the first one. And those are Annihilation, The Fifth Season, The Priory of the Orange Tree, Red Rising, Ship of Magic, and Her Majesty's Royal Coven. I don't know that I have all of them, but I have most of them. So yeah, series are a big focus for me next year. And then I also have a little nonfiction section. 3 of these are audiobooks. And then Saving Us, This Is Improbable, and Bill Nye are both nonfiction that have been on my shelves for a few years. I don't necessarily want to commit to like a nonfiction a month, but I have an entire shelf of nonfiction and I would like to get that down or have more of them read. And then these 5, I don't really know how to categorize them. There's nothing that they really have in common. They were just books that I saw on my spreadsheet and said, let's read those this year. My Year Abroad, Boy Parts, and Moonbound are all books that I bought last year, so I guess those are like recent purchases. And Part of Your World is a book club pick for the library, and it's also a book that I borrowed from my mom and would like to return to her. And then 6 Crimson Crayons is an ebook that I've had for a while, so that will help me get to this goal, getting my Kindle library down. And that's it for my 26 and 26. You'll see this one, I put a lot more time and effort into picking categories. I didn't really care this year. I just want to focus on reading what I have, pretty much. And this one, I did NPR's Best Books again. I went through, I can't remember how many I had read, but I had read quite a few of them, and then these are the ones that I own and have not read yet. Onyx Storm is one that I don't necessarily want to own, but my mom had a second audio version of it and gave it to me. And then Son of the Morning, I am also borrowing from my mom. So I did not buy every single one of these, but I did end up getting quite a few of them in special edition boxes or like aardvark. So like Immaculate Conception and the Hounding, and Buffalo Hunter Hunter, and The Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping, and Sounds Like Love all came, oh, and Girl Dinner. Most of them came from Aardvark, apparently. Great Big Beautiful Life and Wreck, I went out and bought myself because I really liked other books by this author. And then Hemlock and Silver and The Everlasting, I got copies from Owl Crate. So I'd like to read these. This is like focusing on books that I bought recently and want to get to. And then I am also, this is the beginning of like the reading challenges that aren't, I guess it's not the beginning of reading challenges. This is like the third of 7 or so reading challenges that I'm participating in. I forgot to erase the pencil, so ignore that. But I found an Instagram post for a diverse horror curriculum. If I'm being completely honest, I really don't see the appeal of making a personal curriculum. I'm happy for all these people that are having so much fun with it and learning, but I am still really burnt out on school, and I very much feel that reading should be fun. So if obviously you can also learn while you read, but my main goal with reading is to have a good time and to like have an escape. So I just don't really get the curriculum thing. But I found this horror curriculum and I kind of liked it. I liked that I did not need to go out and seek all of this information, and they just gave me a whole list of options to pick from to fill each of these categories. And all I have to do is read one book from each of these categories, and most of them I already own something. So like for Asian, I think I had down, I think it was Immaculate Conception. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that that is horror. Native American, I have Buffalo Hunter Hunter. Latin, I have a lot to pick from. I have Sylvia Marino Garcia. I can't remember the other woman's name right now. And then I also have something from the author of what was that book? Our Share of Night. I have a short story collection from her. I have a short story collection from N.K. Jemisin, and I've heard that a lot of them are horror, but I also happen to have something by Alexis Henderson that would count for this. For disability, I think I owned a couple. One that I read this year would have counted for that, but I'm not going to reread it. And then queer, I definitely have one. I think I have something by Chuck Tingle that would count for this. So this is still like focusing on what I've got, but making sure that I'm reading diversely throughout the year, which I do pretty well with, but this is just like a reminder. And then we have another reading challenge. So I was looking through my owned library numbers, and I have like totals of genres that I own and have not read. And by far the largest one is fantasy. So I decided that I wanted to try out our fantasy. I wrote down the hard mode prompts. I don't think I'm going to 100% do all of them, but I am going to attempt them. And the goal with this is just to read my fantasy down so that number is not so high at the end of the year. I'd really like it to be at like 80 at least instead of over 100. But yeah, this one's pretty self-explanatory. If you don't know about our fantasy, I think it runs like April to April. But I don't operate on that timeline, and I'm not planning to submit my card, so it doesn't really matter if I'm operating on that timeline. So I'm starting January and running through the whole year. And then my bingo board last year went really well. So I'm doing another one. A lot of the goals are the same. So like I still have my Zelda cross stitch. I would really like to focus in on that. This row is more crafts. I don't have specific projects for everything because I want to like explore and have fun with it. So I still have the Advent yarn and the Granny Square project from this year that I was working on. I would like to use up that yarn. And then I have a few things going. So like I have a sweater that I want to knit. I just don't have all the materials for it yet. And then I want to finish the watercolor workbook that I started last year. And then I have been working on an embroidery project that I haven't finished. So I would like to either finish that or finish a different project. Then we have some debt. Not necessarily debt. Not all of it's debt. This is debt. This is debt. So I want to pay off that last credit card and have it where I only pay what I bought with it. What's the term? I want to pay off the balance every month. And then I am also aggressively saving. I've decided that everything I earn from Pango is going straight to savings instead of debt because I would like our emergency fund to be bigger than it is. We're currently at like $2,500, but most of that money is earmarked for large purchases. So I would like to build it up to $6,000 that is not earmarked for large purchases. It's just there to use when we have big things we have to pay for that aren't expected. And then our total debt, I would like it to be under $25,000. I think we're at like $37,000 right now, and $4,200 of that or so is medical debt, which I will start paying with my HSA once I get access to that. And low by year, I haven't filmed it, and I probably won't film a lot of it, but I am methodically going through every single section of our house and decluttering it, trying to sell things that we have and don't use that are still like in pretty good condition, stuff like that. All of that money will go to the savings too. So I have like a fondue pot that I don't know how it got in my home. I don't need a fondue pot. I didn't buy this fondue pot, but it showed up on my doorstep one day. We're gonna get rid of it. Clothes that don't fit, we're gonna get rid of. Things we don't use, we're gonna get rid of. I don't know for sure if this is going to happen this year, but we are operating as though we will be moving in the next year or two, because there are a lot of things up in the air right now. So all of this is going towards that move, specifically the saving and low by year. I don't want more stuff in my house. I don't want to move all the stuff that I have. So we need to work on that. And then my final financial goal is to make $1,000 at least from side hustles. So that counts like selling on Pango Books, doing dog sitting. Actually, I would like that number to be higher than 1K, because last year alone I made $1,000 from dog sitting. I actually made closer to like $1,500 from dog sitting. So I might up this number if I'm being honest. But all of those extra things that are not my full-time job paycheck, I want to make side money. Then I have some fitness goals. I'm actually going to blur this one out and not talk about it because I don't want to trigger anybody. For my fitness, I told my nutritionist that I would really love to be able to jog a 5K by the end of the year. I don't know if that's even going to be possible, but we're going to try. And then I would also like to get back into a schedule of working out. I can work out at home easily 3 days a week, but I would like to be making it to the gym 3 days a week as well, because they have heavier weights and machines that can work muscle groups that I can't necessarily do in an at-home workout as efficiently. And then I have always struggled with my upper body strength, so I would really like to get up to a 20-pound dumbbell on most of my arm exercises if I could, or at least one. I would like to get there on at least one. And then calf raises have been a struggle. I don't remember if I told you all exactly what I had done with my surgeries, but I had calf extensions done while I was put under. So they decompressed a nerve up by my knee, and then they also cut the tendon on the back of my calf to lengthen it. And I am still working on getting the strength back from my first surgery, and now also getting the strength back from my second surgery. And calf raises are the hardest thing for me right now. So I would like calf raises to be painless and not necessarily easy, but I would like to be able to do them consistently without pain. So we're going to keep a little block over that one so you can't see it. And then I have my book goals, which I've talked about most of it. I want to sell 100 books. I want my own TBR to be under 325. I did say I want to finish 10 series. I think that that's definitely doable. I did that easily this year, and that goes hand in hand with finishing more series than I start. And then this one is all of my book of the month and Amazon books read. I think those are doable. And then I would also like to consistently post at least once a week. That could be an Instagram post. I'm not talking about stories. I'm talking about feed posts or a YouTube video or a short on YouTube. That would be fine too. It doesn't need to be like a video. It doesn't need to be a certain length. I don't care about the engagement that I get on it. I just want to consistently post something. Now, moving on. This is my low buy challenge. So I already kind of explained it. I would like to read 5 of my owned books for each book that I buy. Now, the books that I buy, I also have some rules for. I would like to have read the book already, so that means I need to utilize my library. And I would really prefer that the ones that I'm buying that I've already read be used. So that means I could buy it from Pango using my earnings, or I could go to my used bookstores, and if I happen to find them there, that's great. I think that putting the stipulation that the book must be read and used will stop me from buying as much, because finding the books that I want used, unless I'm shopping on Pango specifically, has been really difficult. Like Boy Parts, I have looked at so many bookstores. I wasn't even looking for it used. necessarily, but I couldn't find it. I went to like 10 different bookstores last year and I didn't find it in a single one, so I eventually caved and just bought it on Pingo. Book boxes do not need to be used. I can still get them, and they will count as like my earned book for the month. Certain pre-orders I am okay with, like the new Amina Al-Sarafi book. I am okay with pre-ordering that. I want to support that author. I want to make sure that that book gets the love it deserves before I buy it. And I also already have a couple of books that I pre-ordered last year before I came up with these rules. Those are not going to count towards my low buy at all. Like, they just won't be included. And then for my birthday, I do really like to go book shopping, so I'm giving myself 3 free books in the month of April. They don't need to be used, they don't need to be books I've read, they can be anything that I want. And then any books that I do buy this year, which means any books I get in book boxes, have to be read by the end of the year. I was kind of lenient with this goal in 2025. I have a list of all the books that I bought, and my goal was to have read at least half of them by the end of the year. I didn't quite get there. I think I was at like 40% or something. I can go look. No, I was only at 31%. So that's not great, but I guess the stipulation that I put on that challenge was that I wanted to read at least half of what I bought in 2025 by the time I've owned the books for the year. So if you follow me on Instagram, one of my favorite posts to make is like going back and revisiting the hauls that I posted in the past year and showing you what I've read. So maybe I can keep doing that and get like an actual tally to show you. And then a stipulation that I'm putting is that DNFs count. So if I say I pull a book out of my self-destructing pile and I read the first chapter, decide I don't want it, that's a DNF, and I am still getting it off of my TBR, so I am going to count that in this. And that's pretty much it for the low buy. I have all these squares and I'm planning to put like a sticker on each number and then the book cover in the big square for the 5th book that I got. I have a couple pages of this. Then I have my series tracker. I cleaned this up a little bit from what it looked like last year, and instead of like caking these lines, I am going to utilize all of them since I ended up doing that this year. I did not go through and highlight ones that I want to finish this year, but I would really like to finish a few of these. And I still need to add Witch Hat Atelier and Spy Family on here, because I think Spy Family has 1 or 2 coming out this year. This is pretty straightforward. It's just the name of the series and then how many books are on it. I did add a column for 26 starts, so if I start the series in 2026, I will highlight that so that I can keep easier track of it. The next up, we have the Year of Cozy. This is a year-long readathon. It's not necessarily just reading, but it is like a challenge within Fall Into Steph's Patreon, and each month we have a word. So like January is Renaissance, and I chose Fellowship of the Ring to read. And then I chose a few hobbies and like things I want to focus on that remind me of Renaissance. And then February is Puzzle or Divine, March is Whimsy, and April is Growth. And as the year goes on, she will release the rest of them. And just each month I'll pick at least 1 book to read for it and then some other lifestyle kind of stuff and fill this in as we go. And you'll see I only have like stamps over here. I kind of want to go through each month and pick like stickers or stamps or drawings or things that I feel like fit the title really well, and do that so that I have like different themes throughout the page. Then this is Leandra the TBR Zero's year-long readathon. I think I was supposed to use this for January, but I am 7 days in and I have not made a TBR, so I think I'm going to push this one to February. This is the Lost in the Library game that goes with her year-long readathon, and you technically could use this like all year to build your TBRs, but I get a little bored if I do the same thing every month, so I will not be doing that. Yeah, this is just the map she made, and I'm going to use this page when I actually do the TBR to track like my rolls and what I'm reading for each thing. And then she also has TBR Explorer, where you build your own book. So you select 12 qualities for the book you want, and it has like certain numbers that you can pick from each section, and then you have prompts for each one. And then for the final one, you have the map of stories. And this is, oh, I should go back, hang on. For this one, I am planning to pick 1 book per month to fit one of these. So I guess for January, since I didn't make a TBR, it'll just be 1 book that fits one of these. And then for this, you have 3 prompts per location, and I think I'm going to try and fit each of the 3 prompts for each location going in order per month. So for January, I might need to build a tiny little TBR, because I don't know if I am going to meet these 3 when I read them, but for each prompt you finish, you get a badge. I can't remember the colors. I think they're like bronze, silver, and gold maybe, or something like that. And then we have HRCYED. I'm still questioning if I'm like actually going to put a lot of time and effort into this one or not. I do know that there's a 24-hour challenge one. I am doing that this month because I have a Monday off, so I have a long weekend. But this is the version that Freshly Read Books, or Sarah Freshly, if you know her by her actual name, created. She like put version 1 and version 2 together, and I'll link both the creator of HRCYED, whose name I can't remember right now, and Sarah Freshly down below so that you can look at this if you want to. But basically, I put all of the squares. I wrote them out and I put like little boxes so I can put the covers in for each of them. But this is a lot, so I'm not going to go through all of the prompts for you. You can go through them if you would like. And then I have my last page for 2026, and these are going to be monthly stats. I wanted to be better about recording those this past year. I actually think in 2024 that I tried to do a tracker like this. Let's see if I can find it. Maybe not, maybe it was 2023. Yeah, so for 2023, I tried to keep track of how many books I was buying and how many books I were getting rid of, and then I just never wrote it in. And I had like a book budget. I drew it all out. I should have used it, but I didn't. So I'm hoping that this format will be easier for me to use. So I'm just going to fill in each block each month with the numbers and stuff that go with it. But yeah, that is it. This is a lot longer than I anticipated it being. But I hope you enjoyed seeing my journal, and I will hopefully see you soon with a vlog, because I have quite a few to edit, or my January wrap-up and February TBR. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, thank you for watching. I really appreciate you being here, and I hope that your year is off to a good start. If you have nothing else to say, leave me a duck emoji for all of the ducks and like swamp stamps that I have throughout my journal, and I'll see you soon. Bye!